ज़्यादा खराब है. We are now concentrating on the topic which is Hindi. To understand what is being talked is, up till now Hindi was never formed. It never got its origin. But now we are going to see lots of infusion coming inside. Infusion in the form of the Turkish people, Afghan people, the Persian people, Sanskrit which was already present out there, all is going to get twist and turn and going to produce a new language which is called as Hindi. So, the development of Indian languages and composition got a promotion in Delhi Sultanate. And when I talk about the Sultanate, it's basically a word which is associated with Sultan, that is the king, and from Sultan we got Sultanate, that is a condition where an empire is getting born out of it. And from there we got a derivation of Sultanate. So it's English word. Sultan means king. So wherever the kings used to be there, obviously the word Sultan, you can get an idea. We are talking about a Middle Eastern part idea from where this word is actually originated. Two forms of Delhi languages. One is Khadi Boli and another one is Brij Bhasha. So two languages we are talking about. Khadi Boli and Brij Bhasha still is persistently available in location called as Mathura area and in Awadh language. So Awadh is the territory between Ayodhya and Lucknow. We have got still, it's being persistently seen. And Mathura, all those who might have visited that particular shrine dedicated to Lord Krishna, you might have seen a particular type of language being used out there only. It's not anywhere else. And that is called as Brij Bhasha. Brij is that area. Many devotional songs were written, and consequently we saw a new language also getting inspired out of it. Here we have got a special mention about Rajasthani, which we commonly otherwise call it as Marwadi. So it is Marwadi and Rajasthani, two are different things. Rajasthani, when I talk about, is going to compare the whole Rajasthan. That means the various dialects which are going to be there. And there is a special area called as Marwad, where the language, a typical Marwadi, is going to get born out of it. So two different things are there. Please keep it into mind. So composed in Rajasthani language, which is similar to Hindi and Gujarati. Now what does it means? That certain words have been derived from Hindi, certain words have been derived from Gujarati, and the common base script writing is going to be quite similar. So you are able to understand, read or write in case you are talking about this Rajasthani or very particular Marwadi. The heroic works like, there are special mentions, Alha. Second, we have got as Udal or Visal Dev Rasu. The heroic word means those things which were associated with heroism. The special gallantry work carried out by these people. Now, who are these people? We are talking about Rajputanas or the clan of Rajputs. How does this word came? Raj, one who is going to control. Put is the son. So, this is how the name came, Rajput. And the area which we are going to see is called as Rajputana, the area which is demarcated. So, Rajputs are those who are basically Kshatriya clans. I've heard about something in the four Varna system: Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. So 4 words we have learnt about, out of which the second word, that is Kshatriya, this is that sub part of it, in case you want to learn. A book which was written by Mullah Dawood Chandrayaan. The point to remember we have got is a person named called as Mullah Dawood, and the book name is Chandrayaan. NASA was formed very recently, Mullah Dawood has actually talked about something called as Chandrayaan. So we were imaginative, much ahead than Americans are. You should feel proud about it. Chandrayaan, the yaan which is going to take you to the moon. So space technology is very recently developed. But the poets of our time, they had started imagining about this particular thing. So Chandrayaan, written by Mullah Dawood, is the oldest book in Awadhi language. Just now I have talked about something called as Awadh. And for a recall, that area which lies from Ayodhya till Lucknow will be called as Awadh. So Awadhi basically is that particular language which is going to be seen in and around those areas. From Ayodhya till Lucknow. Persians. Now we see certain rulers coming all the way from present day Iran, which was previously called as Persia. So they brought along with them their own culture and they brought along with them their language. And when they became the ruler, all the activities pertaining to the day-to-day activity will be carried out in the language which they know, and the only language they used to know was Persian. So all the court activities, forming of orders, assigning work, it was all done in Persian language. So suddenly we saw Persian also coming into India. Suddenly. Because overnight we saw certain wars taking place, certain rulers lost, certain rulers became the rulers of that area, and with them we saw the advent of new languages. So this new languages, one more is getting added, and which language? The Persian language. Many Persian words are seen in Indian languages even today. While going through that word Panj-ab, I hope so you have remembered. Panj is basically 5 and Ab means water. So still we are using that Persian words. Punjab. We use the word Doab. In case you remember, Do is 2 and Ab means water. So the land between the two rivers, that is called as Doab. Still it is being used. So the Persian has been amalgamated, mixed in Indian language. You have taken those words. Many Turkish writers were there who were writing in Persian languages also. Here there is a mention about Ziauddin Barrani, a special name. Because this person actually creates some problem for us to remember the work he has written. One of the work of Ziauddin Barrani was Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi. And this talks about the day-to-day activities of the Khiljis. One of the Khiljis is quite famous, called as Alauddin Khilji. So it had some dynastic form. You know, his uncle was the king, his brother was the king. So they had this Khilji dynasty. And we get a rare glimpse about how the life was there during the Khilji rule under the book written by Ziauddin Barrani, and the name of that book is Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi. Another book was written about political affairs, how the politics was being played, who was killing whom, who was trying to overturn another one. And this book has got a name to call as Fatwa-e-Jahangiri. So please remember this name. Name of the book is Fatwa-e-Jahangiri. Now this work is actually need to be kept in a separate box because something related to this name we are going to find in another part of the chapter very soon, which creates the confusion. So you have to keep it aside so that we can correlate it later on. Just keep it aside. Another person during medieval age who has done a prominent work was Amir Khusro. And Amir Khusro was the disciple of Nizamuddin Auliya. All those who have visited Delhi might have visited a place called as Nizamuddin. Some 17 kilometers, 15 kilometers from main Delhi, there is a place called as Nizamuddin, and in there we have got the dargah of this particular person. North India boasts of certain big dargahs who had a lot of followers. Among few of them, I'm quoting down two names, quite famous out here in our region also. One is that Ajmer. So Ajmer dargah is there, where we have got is the Salim Chishti, whose dargah is there. And Salim Chishti and Nizamuddin Auliya, they were of the same hierarchy level. He was present in Ajmer and Nizamuddin was present in Delhi. And he has got his grave there only. उसका ताल्लुक वहीं है. तो उनके disciple थे Amir Khusro. What was so unique about Amir Khusro? He was a mystic saint. Saint means santan. But he had a command over poetry. He had a command over writing. He had a command over music composition. So he was well versatile in lot many fields. He was not only concentrating on spirituality, spiritual work. You keep on telling the people to favor one God or something like this. He was not only concentrating, he had multi-dimensional activities associated. And he has written certain work. Example is Ashiqwa. Second we have is Na, Sipehar, Qiratul Sadae and Khazal Futu. So these are certain work which is associated with this particular person whose name is Amir Khusro. What unique thing, one mark question does really seems to be important. He was the person who has categorically said that anywhere in the world, if you are going to find a paradise, that is India. So he called India as earthly paradise. A paradise, Swarg. So in case you want to see how paradise is, look like, just visit India, you are going to get a glimpse of it, how beautiful it is. He was the particular person who had ancestry from not from India. His forefathers had recently shifted from Persia, Turkish background, but he called himself to be an Indian. And secondly, he called Hindalvi, a type of language which was used in and around Delhi, as his mother tongue. He never said that I have got a mother tongue like Persian. He never said that I have got mother tongue of Turkish. He said my mother tongue is Hindalvi, which was at that time spoken in and around the Delhi region. So what we come to know from this is he has distanced himself from his forefathers and was trying to make himself Indianized. I am Indian and this is how I am going to live. The regional kings gave great impetus. Now when I talk about impetus, that is push. And when I talk about the regional kings, we are talking about those small kings which were present in pockets. When I say pocket, it means small area. Certain were available in Bihar, let us say. Some were present in Gujarat, some were present in Madhya Pradesh. Present day scenario talking about, we can correlate it. And certain were present in Odisha, some were present in Bengal. So these were called as the local kings. We are not talking about dynasty. When I talk about dynasty or empire, I'm basically talking about big, vast area. And when I talk about small kings, we are talking about local pockets. So Navsari has got a king. Surat has got a king. Delhi has got a king. But empire is Khiljis, who has got rule from Kashmir till Madhya Pradesh. Say, imagine it. So that is the two differences we got. Bhakti saint preached in the languages of the people. Now these local languages were getting pushed, or it was getting favored not only by the kings, that means they were spending some time or money for the local language to be propounded in front of everyone. There were saints also who used to roam from one place to another singing the devotional songs in local language. What does it mean? When I say devotional, I am talking about the person getting devoted to one specific deity, god or goddesses, whatever you follow. But the hymns are going to be recited in local language. If you are present in Gujarat, you will be speaking the hymns in Gujarati. जो भजन होगा वो गुजराती. In case you are in Bengal, the same is going to get translated into Bengali. In case you happens to be in Punjab, it will be Punjabi. So what is the reason it is being done? We are trying to localize the concept so that the people, whichever language they are using, they are able to at least understand what they are singing or listening. And secondly, they will be also murmuring. You have got a very good song, catchy song. Let us say it is Korean, BTS. Can you understand? Well, I can't understand. For me, it is just some rocks, that's it. Bajra. But what about Hindi? I will be able to understand what the lyric says. I will be able to understand and pronunciate also. That is more important. When I will be singing in front of you and perhaps you find it to be catchy, you will be also start to pick those words. You will try to imitate me or that original singer, and so the process continues. But we cannot have the same thing in Chinese language or Korean language or Japanese language because we don't care a thing about it. क्या आ रहा है उसके अंदर? तो इसीलिए लोकल भाषा में, that is the regional languages, उनके अंदर में भक्ति को स्टार्ट करवाया. Be it Vaishnav, Shivite, Krishna, whatever it is. Here to mention about is the person name is Kabir. That same Kabir whose dohas have really created some headache in your life. You have to learn it, you have to remember it, you have to write it down, you have to pronunciate it. Same is the local languages. And the point to remember is that it was written in a special language called as Sadhu Khadi. Khadi is still the same. Sadhu, matlab all those who used to roam from one place to another. They never had their own home. So the sadhus are the one who literally roam from one place to another. So Kabir Doha became the part of folklore. A person important we have got is Malik Muhammad Jaisi, and he has written a famous work called as Padmavat. That same Padmavat, because of which we had a lot of controversies in the film industry. Thank God that time it was not there, that film industry. Film industry is now present, and hence we have got those problems. Ramcharitmanas, written by Tulsidas, was written in Awadhi. A point important to understand. Ramcharitmanas is one of the most read books, but originally it was written in Awadhi language. What exactly the scenario now seems as the local languages are coming up? Local languages were coming up. In this, there is a mention about Bengali, and the work is Ramayana. The person is Kritavas. He has converted the original Ramayana into Bengali language so that it becomes easy for the public to read and understand. I will be having problem understanding Sanskrit. It's your local language, you can read it. You can get it converted in Urdu, you can convert it into Hindi, you can convert it into Dogri. Various languages are there. So it becomes easy for you to read. Most important is understand. Just mere reading is not necessary. You have to literally understand what is written actually in those books. Along with, we saw certain saints developing new method of passing the information about God and goddesses to the people. Here there is a mention of Chaitanya, Sant Chaitanya, which is written as Saint Chaitanya. The tradition of writing devotional songs began. So he was the pioneer who started writing devotional songs devoted to specific god or goddesses. I follow Shiv, so I am going to be just singing those hymns which is going to favor Shiv. And this is sort of devotional writing started. Narsi Mehta is a name to reckon who has done work in Gujarati language. We have got his Namdev and Sant Eknath. These are the two big names in Marathi language. So what we understand as the gist is going to be appearing, local languages were getting used for the promotion of Bhakti movement. Sanskrit work like Mahabharata and Rajtarangini were translated into Persian language by a person whose name is Zainul Abidin. So a person, he was responsible for making the Sanskrit work reach across the border into the territories which were governed by the Persians. That means the people living in Persia would be also able to read Mahabharata. How is it possible? Let us convert it into their local language. From north, suddenly we are going to shift down to the south. Southern India had witnessed some great empires. You might have heard about a few of them like the Cholas, the Pandyas. One of the empire which is now mentioned is the Vijayanagar Empire. Now this Vijayanagar Empire was at the pinnacle, at the top, when a particular person was actually the ruler and his name was Krishnadev Raya. Raja Krishnadev Raya. He was the person responsible to take the Vijayanagar Empire to the highest position. After that, it never reached that particular height. Never reached that position. So, this particular person is mentioned out here, Raja Krishnadev Rai, who happened to be the king of Vijayanagar Empire. He was also a prolific writer